This week, in 1922, a quiet farm in Bavaria became the scene of something unthinkable. 6 members of the same family were found murdered, one by one, on their Hinterkaifeck homestead. There were no witnesses, no confessions, just a trail of footprints in the snow, leading into the farmhouse, none leading out. The mystery still chills historians to this day. Time is weird, history is weirder, and tonight we're warping through both.
The following is rated TV-MA and is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Good evening, time travelers. Welcome to the Time Warp Thursday on Talk Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley, here to escort you on another round-trip adventure through the strange, the mysterious, and the moments that shape us, or maybe still haunt us. It is Thursday, July 10th, 2025. That means we are precisely 191 days into this year, with just 174 left to go. That's 52.33% of the year behind us, and the rest, well, waiting to be written, or maybe rewritten. So much can happen in a year, and so much has happened in the years before this one, especially on days like today. Exactly 103 years ago, in the Bavarian countryside, something unthinkable occurred on a quiet farm called Hinterkaifeck. Hinterkaifeck. 6 people were brutally murdered, and to this day, no one knows who did it. But footprints in the snow, strange noises in the attic, and a trail of chilling clues suggest the killer may have never truly left. A murder mystery frozen in time, and tonight we're going to try to thaw it out a little bit. But that's just the beginning. We'll also explore the skies all over the world and right here in Lakewood, Washington. Mysterious lights, odd patterns, silent shapes that blink and vanish. Some call them drones. Others say weather balloons. And a few, well, they're convinced we're not alone. And yeah, for those keeping score at home, this is the part of the show where I gently remind you to keep your tinfoil hats within reach. But as always on Time Warp Thursday, we're not just floating in folklore. We're digging into real history, old newspaper clippings, public records, eyewitness reports, and the odd journal entry that someone swore was lost to time. We are bringing you the facts and letting you your imagination handle the rest. And just because we are time traveling doesn't mean we've forgotten where we are. Right here in the heart of Lakewood, Washington. That's my hometown. Well, not really hometown, but that's home base right here. Between ghost stories and government files, we'll also check in on the people, places, and small businesses that give this city its character. From the corner cafes that fuel our mornings to the night shift security guards who've seen things they can't explain. Lakewood has its own share of mysteries. You just have to know where to look. Tonight's journey includes the Hinterkaifeck murders, a case so bizarre even the original detectives thought the farm was cursed. UFOs over Pierce County. What did dozens of locals report seeing back in the summer of 1976? Plus, a local legend you definitely didn't hear in school. A haunted transistor radio passed down through 3 Lakewood families and still, somehow, tuned to a broadcast that no one else can hear. Crazy. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, don't worry. We've got 50 more minutes or so to do the trick. So whether you're curled up on the couch, driving through the quiet streets of Lakewood at night, or hiding under the covers with headphones on, I'm glad you're here. We've got stories to tell, questions to ask, and just maybe a few answers waiting on the other side of the static. This is Time Warp Thursday, where the past is never really gone. And the future, well, let's just say it has a way of sneaking up on you. So, first we're going to start off with Lakewood Legends. So welcome back to Time Warp Thursday on Talk Radio, where today we dig deep into the display cases of time and unlock the registers of retail history. You're listening to Lakewood Legends, the business edition. A spotlight on the places, people, and local legends who've kept this town's economy humming from decade to decade. Let's roll back to receipt tape and jump into the time machine. Destination, 1950s, Lakewood. when the town was just finding its commercial feet. The birth of Lakewood Center. It all started in 1951 with the grand opening of the Lakewood Colonial Center, one of the first suburban shopping centers in the entire United States. Yes, before the mall boom took off in the 70s, Lakewood was already ahead of the retail curve. This wasn't just a group of stores. It was a carefully designed commercial village styled in colonial architecture and aimed at bringing Tacoma's city energy to the suburbs. The original lineup: think Thriftway Grocery, a JCPenney catalog center, a Woolworths. Say that without no teeth. Woolworths. And, believe it or not, a milk delivery counter operated by Smith Brothers Farms. You could pick up your groceries, grab lunch, and get a shoe shine all in one stroll. Flash forward to 1960s through the 1980s. By the 1960s, Lakewood Center was booming. The parking lot hosted car shows, military appreciation days, and even a mini circus for the kids. And let's not forget Top of the Ocean, the floating restaurant replica docked near Lakewood's commercial heart until it burned down tragically in 1977. Another story for another time. In the 1980s, Lakewood's retail shifted again with the rise of the Lakewood Mall, a fully enclosed shopping center that brought in Mervyn's, Emporium, AMC Theaters, and now defunct Orange Julius, because that was a mall without that foamy orange slush. Or what was a mall without that foamy orange slush? The mall falls, a town rises. In the 90s, Lakewood Mall had seen better days. Declining foot traffic, economic shifts, and retail bankruptcies left empty storefronts and echoes of its former glory. Locals jokingly called it the Deadwood Mall. The Deadwood Mall. But in 2001, a major redevelopment effort brought the site back to life as the Lakewood Town Center. An open-air, walkable shopping plaza anchored by Target, Barnes & Noble, Michaels, and a rotating lineup of restaurants. Today, it remains one of Pierce County's most visited retail hubs. Let's give a nod to a few Lakewood business icons. Carr's Restaurant, serving Lakewood since 1952. Carr's was famous for its homemade pies and hearty breakfasts. Sadly, it closed its doors in 2023 after 71 years. I didn't know it closed its doors. I thought it was still open. I'm going to have to do research on that one. B&I Shopping Center. This quirky, beloved spot on South Tacoma Way was home to Ivan the Gorilla. Yes, a real gorilla. I loved going to see Ivan the Gorilla. He was so cool, pounding on the window and scratching himself. It was funny. It also had a roller rink, pet store, and rotating vendors. It thrived from the 60s through the 80s and helped shape youth culture in the South Sound. Hess Bakery and Deli, a Lakewood staple since 1967, known for its authentic German baked goods. It's still open today on Bridgeport Way. If you haven't tried the rye bread or Black Forest cake, your time machine is missing out. Steina's Cellars, a newer addition to Lakewood's legacy. This small batch winery launched in the early 2000s and continues producing award-winning wines, contributing to Lakewood's growing artisanal scene. Lakewood business today, evolving. Lakewood's current business landscape is a blend of national chains, immigrant-owned shops, military-adjacent services, and entrepreneurial upstarts. Small businesses thrive alongside franchises, particularly in the International District, where Korean, Vietnamese, African, and Latino-owned businesses are reshaping the commercial culture of the city. And let's not overlook the role of joint base Lewis McCord, a vital part of the regional economy since the 1910s. JBLM supports countless local service providers, from car dealerships to child care to coffee shops. Just for fun, if you've shopped at all 5 of the following, give yourself a round of applause. Radio Shack, when it was inside the old mall. Top Foods, remember their bulk section? Golden Spoon frozen yogurt. KB Toys, Dollar Movie Tuesdays at AMC. I think I visited like maybe one of those things. So I don't get a round of applause for that one. And I've lived here since 1980. So if you hit 4 out of 5, you're practically a commercial time traveler. Well, I hit maybe 1. Anyways, Lakewood's business legacy isn't just about what's open or closed. It's about how a community evolves. Every storefront, from Hess Bakery to Target, is a reflection of changing needs, new neighbors, and hometown hustle. So next time you're grabbing coffee at Forza or picking up a last-minute gift at the town center, remember, you're walking across decades of commerce, culture, and community. So that wraps up this edition of Lakewood Legends. Next week on Time Warp Thursday, we'll be exploring Lakewood on Wheels, a history of cars, dealerships, and at one time a Chevy Camaro crashed into a beauty salon. Stick around. We got more talk radio coming up after this little transition here. Okay, now get into some neighborhood notes. It goes into parts, okay? This is part A, the welcome and the origins. Hey there, I'm Jonathan Riley. This is Neighborhood Notes. Today we're putting Lakewood, Washington under the microscope, one of Pierce County's most intriguing cities. At just under 64,000 residents, Lakewood ranks as the county's second largest city. Incorporated in 1996, it's a young city with deep roots. Much deeper, in fact. Originally referred to as the Prairie, this 20-mile square landscape was a seasonal home to the Stilicum and Nisqually tribes. Its strategic importance took off in the 1830s. Yeah, we're going way back in time now. 1830. I can't even imagine that. When the Hudson Bay Company set up Fort Nisqually, followed by Fort Stilicum in 1849 under U.S. Army oversight. By the time World War II rolled around, the nearby military buildup from what we now know as Joint Base Lewis McChord propelled the population from around 3,000 to 17,000 in just a few years. Fast forward to today, a city where multiple cultures, generations, and backgrounds come together. About 54% of residents identify as BIPOC, including higher than average Black and Asian populations for the country, or the county. The median age sits in the mid-30s, perfect for families, professionals, and veterans alike. Now, part B, the lay of the land and iconic spots. Lakewood offers more than just a place to live. It offers distinct places to love. Let's start with its standout landmarks. Fort Stilicum Park, the city's largest green space at around 340 acres, featuring Wagop Lake, dog runs, soccer, and baseball fields, and hosts major events like the Farmers Market and Summerfest. Seven shimmering lakes in total: American Lake, Gravity Lake, Stilicum Lake, among others, offering everything from fishing and swimming to scenic trails. Lakewood Gardens, a 10-acre historic estate garden, originally established in 1908 and donated to the city in 1987. Thornwood Castle, a dramatic two-door Gothic mansion relocated from England circa 1907, now a charming B&B and culture icon. Lakewood Town Center, the open-air, revitalized shopping and entertainment hub originally the Lakewood Mall before its 2001 transformation. Lakewood Playhouse, humming since 1938 with local theater and community productions in its 180-seat venue. But there's more than sightseeing here. These places tell stories of indigenous heritage, military legacy, suburban boom, and cultural renewal. And they show that Lakewood isn't just evolving, it's thriving. Now, we move into the next little segment. Welcome back to the Art Spot. Yes, the Art Spot. For the next few minutes here, we are taking you on a creative journey through Lakewood and Pierce County, Washington. A region brimming with public art, community creativity, and cultural events. Lakewood Arts Commission and public art. Lakewood's commitment to art shines through its Arts Commission, which advises City Council on visual, performing, and literary arts, supports local talents, and fosters community events. You'll see their impact everywhere, from murals to sculptures and signal box wraps that reflect Lakewood's identity. I don't even know what a signal box wrap is. Probably something that goes around a signal box. Yeah. Now, a spotlight on Lakewood Gardens. Just down Gravity Lake Drive, Lakewood Gardens offers a lush 10-acre escape designed by Thomas Church and open to the public year-round. It's art in landscape form. Itchy nose, hold on. Don't mind me. Okay. Seasonal blooms and architectural flair blending to reflect nature's palette. Next, Pierce County Public Art and 1% for Art. Pierce County's 1% for Art program allocates public construction funds to art installations in parks, buildings, and rec centers. Notable works include Sway at Meridian Habitat Park and the Sprinker Recreation Center Fitness Court mural. That was a long one to say. Their Pierce County mural project also brings vibrant art to the skate park at Sprinker. Sprinker. Not sprinkler, but Sprinker. Now, local classes and community events. Art everywhere. Lakewood is bustling with opportunity to create. PCSR art class at the community center. Weekly sessions for teens and adults. April through June 2025, which is past. But that happens. Make me. Community art night. Drop-in crafts at the Lakewood Library. E.g. July 23rd. Arty time paint and sip with mocktails and guided painting. Countrywide crafts and cocktails. Evenings in parks. June projects like gnome painting. Nutritious adult fun. Signature events and festivals. Don't miss these seasonal favorites. Summerfest. Coming up July 19th at Fort Silicon Park with live music, art booths, dance, and food. Fiesta de la Familia, September 6th, features family-friendly art shows, crafts, face painting, and performers. Tacoma Arts Month in October spills over into Pierce County, showcasing gallery tours, workshops, readings, and open studios. Lakewood's Arts Commission is actively partnering with Pierce College to host student art shows and build traveling exhibits, strengthening college-city ties. It's a deliberate effort to showcase emerging voices and keep community art fresh. As we close this segment, remember, everywhere you go in Lakewood and Pierce County, art is alive, welcoming, hands-on, and part of everyday life. Join a paint night, visit a garden, catch a mural, or simply wander and soak it in. Until next time on the Art Spot, go explore your community. Wait, go explore. Your community is your canvas. I kind of messed that one up. I'm crazy tonight. Man, now some events coming up here. Artvana Kids and Family Paint Night. All ages painting event for Artvana. Wear Manic Meatballs in Lakewood. When? Likely mid-July. Check Eventbrite for exact. July 10th through the 17th. Somewhere around there. Pierce County Library Art and Story Activities. Ongoing family story time with art, songs, and rhymes. When? Tuesdays, July 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pierce County at Tacoma. Healing Arts Painting Workshop. Make a patriotic theme acrylic painting. Where? The Mid-County Community Center in Tacoma. When? Tuesday, July 15th, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Virtual author talk. Mary Lou. Teen event on her Legends series. When? Thursday, July 17th, 1 to 2 p.m. Virtual. Apparently you can't go live. You got to be virtual. Broader Pierce highlights. Paint and Sip. Tacoma. Social adult decorating session with drinks. And they're very vague. Where at Tacoma venues? They didn't give no info. Multiple dates in July, during July 10th through the 17th. Now we get into the main event here, the main segment of Time Warp Thursday. The bizarre mystery of the Hinterkaifeck murders. Okay. So welcome back to This Week in Time. I'm your host, Jonathan Riley, of course. And over this next however long this story goes, we're setting the dials and flipping the pages of history to explore. Oh no, this is not the main event. Wait, this is Week in Time. Okay. The Week in Time. I messed up on that one. Ha! I didn't read it properly. But we're going back in time for things happening this week in the past. Some of the most fascinating events that happened between July 10th and July 16th throughout history. From the moments that launched us into space to revolutions that redrew borders and even the quieter changes that rippled out over decades. These stories are more than just headlines. They are reflections of how we got here and hints at where we might be going. So whether you're listening from Lakewood or across the state or somewhere in another time zone altogether, strap in, stay curious, and let's take a ride through this week in history. Key event on July 10th. July 10th brings with it pivotal moments from history, events that reshaped science, war, communication, and activism. In 1925, Scopes monkey trial begins. In Dayton, Tennessee, jury selection began for one of the most controversial trials in American history, the Scopes trial. John T. Scopes, a young high school science teacher, was accused of violating Tennessee's Butler Act, which prohibited the teaching of human evolution in public schools. The trial quickly became a national spectacle, pitting science against religion, progress against tradition. Legendary lawyers Clarence Darrow and William Jennings Bryan, squared off in a courtroom that would set the stage for how America wrestles with science and education, even to this day. 1940, the Battle of Britain begins. Across the Atlantic, on this day in 1940, the skies over the United Kingdom darkened, not with clouds, but with Luftwaffe bombers. Nazi Germany launched the first major aerial assault of what would become known as the Battle of Britain. This was a critical turning point in World War II. Germany's attempt to dominate British airspace ahead of a potential invasion. But the Royal Air Force, outnumbered and exhausted, held firm. It was a defining chapter of resistance, showing the world that Hitler's forces could be stopped. 1962, Telstar 1 launches, jumping ahead to the space age on July 10, 1962. Telstar 1 launched into orbit, becoming the world's first active communications satellite. Just a day later, it would beam the first live transatlantic television signals from the US to Europe. Suddenly, news, music, and images could cross oceans in real time. It marked the dawn of the global media age, paving the way for the interconnected world we now take for granted. 1985, the Rainbow Warrior bombing. And in the Southern Hemisphere, a tragedy unfolded on this day in 1985. In Auckland, New Zealand, French intelligence agents bombed the Rainbow Warrior, a Greenpeace vessel preparing to protest nuclear testing in the Pacific. The blast killed photographer Fernando Pereira, igniting global outrage. The attack, carried out by a Western democracy against a peaceful environmental group, exposed deep tensions over nuclear policy and state secrecy. It ultimately strengthened Greenpeace's global voice and highlighted the risks activists often face in the pursuit of justice. Each of these events, trial, war, technology, and protest, offers a powerful glimpse into the battles of belief, power, progress, and principle that shape the world we live in today. Now, as we move on to July 11th. On July 11th, July 11th has a dramatic and wide-reaching legacy in American history, full of politics, literature, and space-age spectacle. Let's go back to 1804. 1804. That's way beyond my time. When a feud between two of America's founding figures came to a fatal end. Vice President Aaron Burr and former Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton met on the dueling grounds of Weehawken, New Jersey. The two had long been political rivals, but that morning their conflict turned deadly. Burr shot Hamilton, who died the next day.
Patty would love this.
The duel shocked the young nation and ultimately ended Burr's political career. But it sealed Hamilton's legacy, one that would be revived 2 centuries later on Broadway, because we hear it all the time from the child.
How do you not know this is going to be talked about? Addie would love to watch it.
Fast forward to 1960, on July 11th, 1960, and a very different kind of American icon made her debut. Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird was published on this day, telling the story of racial injustice in the Deep South through the eyes of a child. It would go on to win the Pulitzer Prize and become a cornerstone of American literature, studied in classrooms and cherished by readers around the world, with its unforgettable characters like Scout, Atticus Finch, and Tom Robinson. It challenged generations to confront the realities of prejudice and moral courage. Then, in 1979, America's first space station, Skylab, made its dramatic return to Earth. Launched in 1973, Skylab had hosted astronauts for vital missions and scientific experiments. But on July 11th, after 6 years in orbit, it finally succumbed to gravity. The station partially burned up as it re-entered the atmosphere, scattering debris all over the Indian Ocean and Western Australia. No one was hurt, but one Australian town cheekily fined NASA for littering. Skylab's fiery fall marked the end of an era in space exploration and paved the way for future missions like the Shuttle and the International Space Station. So whether it's a duel a debut novel, or a descent from the stars, July 11th always has a story to tell. Midweek milestones, July 12th through the 14th. Let's take a look at some of the game-changing moments that unfolded during this week in history, from revolution to innovation, and even a little serve and volley on screen. July 13th, July 13th, 1835. Engineering the future. On this day, Swedish-American inventor John Ericsson received a U.S. patent for the screw propeller, a device that would forever change naval technology. Unlike traditional paddle wheels, the screw propeller made ships faster, more efficient, and more maneuverable. This invention laid the groundwork for modern marine propulsion and helped shift naval dominance to countries that adopted it first. Ericsson would later design the USS Monitor, the Union's famous ironclad ship during the American Civil War. July 13th, 1922, a match made for television. Also on July 13th, this time in 1922, the world witnessed its first televised tennis match. Although primitive by today's standards, this experimental broadcast by British engineer John Logie Baird was a groundbreaking moment in both sports and television history. It opened the door to the global sports broadcasting empire we now take for granted. One match, one fuzzy picture at a time. July 14th, 1789. 1789. The Bastille falls. And on July 14th, we traveled to the heart of Paris, where a mob stormed the Bastille prison, a symbol of royal tyranny. This act wasn't just the beginning of the French Revolution. It was a seismic declaration that people would no longer accept absolute power without accountability. The storming of the Bastille has since come to represent liberty, citizenship, and resistance to oppression. Today, Bastille Day is celebrated as France's national holiday, like the 4th of July, but with more cheese and fewer fireworks. From revolutionizing ships to sparkling political revolution, and even changing how we watch sports, these mid-July milestones remind us that a lot can happen in just a few days, and sometimes history serves up an ace when you least expect it. Now, July 15th through the 16th, let's talk about 2 days that help shape the skies above us and the ground beneath our feet, in both business and space. July 15th, 1916, in Seattle, Washington, a timber entrepreneur named William Boeing officially incorporated what would become the Boeing Company, originally named Pacific Aero Products Company. Boeing began by building seaplanes in a boathouse on Lake Union. Fast forward over a century later, and Boeing is one of the largest aerospace companies in the world, responsible for everything from passenger jets to military aircraft, satellites, and space launch systems. Seattle's skyline and its economy would never be the same after that day in 1916. July 16, 1790, the U.S. Congress passed the Residence Act, officially designating a swath of land along the Potomac River as the site of the nation's capital. This led to the creation of Washington, D.C., a unique district not part of any state. The decision was a political compromise between North and South, and it laid the foundation for the seat of American government power and symbolism. And finally, July 16th, 1969, just after 9:30 in the morning, Eastern Time, Apollo 11 lifted off from Cape Kennedy, Florida, aboard a Saturn V rocket, powered by technology from Westinghouse. This historic mission would become the first to land humans on the moon. 4 days later, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took that legendary walk. while Michael Collins orbited above it in the command module. Over 500 million people watched, united by one small step and one giant leap. So whether we're talking air travel, space travel, or building a nation's capital, July 15th and 16th remind us that human ambition knows no bounds. Now, why do these moments matter so much? The Scopes trial, where science and religion collided in a courtroom, and the tragic duel between Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr remind us that the way we handle public disagreement and uphold the rule of law profoundly shapes the foundation of our society. These events teach us about the power and sometimes the cost of ideas and conflict in democracy. Then there's the Battle of Britain, the storming of the Bastille, and the Apollo 11 moon landing, each a turning point that defined the course of history. The Battle of Britain showed how courage and resilience could turn the tide in a global war, while the Bastille's fall symbolized the birth of modern democracy and the fight for freedom. Apollo 11's giant leap demonstrated humanity's boundless curiosity and the incredible heights we can reach when we push the limits of science and exploration. And finally, the milestones of technology from the launch of Telstar, the first communication satellite that connected continents through television, to William Boeing's founding of an aviation company that would revolutionize travel, remind us that innovation constantly reshapes our world. These breakthroughs don't just change how we live, they transform the very way we connect, communicate, and imagine our future. Each of these moments holds a mirror up to humanity's challenges and triumphs, reminding us that history isn't just about dates and facts, but about the ongoing story of who we are and where we're headed. Thanks for joining me this week on this part of my show. We hope these stories from history sparked your curiosity and maybe even struck a chord with you. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Did any of these events resonate with you on a personal level? Or maybe you have a story or perspective to share that connects with what we cover. You can reach out to us anytime on our social media channels or send us an email. Who knows, your story or comment might just be featured on next week's episode, giving you a chance to be a part of the conversation and community here. Like Freya Plays Pet Sim over on YouTube chat. But this is also interesting. See, being part of the communication. But coming up next, we will be diving deep into the history of UFO sightings. Maybe I had a UFO sighting. Who knows? Stay tuned, everybody. Okay, the modern UFO. Wait. What's this? The moon landing was faked. That's my guess. We haven't ever gone back. Freya says the moon landing was faked.
Well, think about it. We've gone into orbit, we've done all this stuff, but why have we only gone to the moon that one time and never, ever bothered to go back to do more research?
Well, that is possible, but there's also been stories that there was some creature on the moon that they are scared to go back to and see again. There's something on the moon that keeps us from going back.
There was a leaked video of Buzz Aldrin talking about how the moon landing was fake.
Oh yeah. We
can debate when you do your UFO thing.
Yeah, it's all speculation in the world, I mean, everybody has their ideas and opinions, and if you've seen the interviews with Buzz Aldrin, who kind of hints at the fact that it was fake, it's just kind of a thing, and that could be part of Hollywood. They were putting on some kind of show. But the modern UFO era began on June 24th, 1947, when Kenneth Arnold, flying near Mount Rainier, spotted 9 shiny objects skipping like saucers. That's where we got the term flying saucer. Washington State is one of the top 5 states for reported sightings. Fun fact. Major moments. 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident. 1961, Barney and Betty Hill abduction. 2020, Pentagon confirmed Navy videos of unidentified aerial phenomena. Whether you're a skeptic or a stargazer, the sky has never stopped whispering mysteries. So today in UFO history, July 10th, 1947, Roswell incident precursor. So it was this day, July 10th, in 1947, where Kenneth Arnold's sighting, the world's most famous UFO event, was brewing. On July 8th, 1947, the Roswell Army Airfield issued a press release claiming they had recovered a flying disc, sparking worldwide frenzy. Though the official explanation later was a weather balloon, Roswell cemented itself as a cornerstone of UFO lore, kicking off decades of government secrecy, rumors, and conspiracy theories. July 11, 1952, Washington, D.C., UFO flat peaks. In mid-July 1952, a wave of mysterious radar blips and multiple sightings lit up the skies over the U.S. Capitol. The U.S. Air Force scrambled jets in response to these unidentified targets, but no conclusive explanation was ever confirmed publicly. The incident intensified public and governmental interest in UFOs. It was a key reason behind the creation of Project Blue Book. There we go, July 1961, and hello to Patrasia, or something like that, on YouTube. July 1961, Barney and Betty Hill abduction. While not exactly July 10th, this summer marked one of the first widely publicized alien abduction stories. The Hills claimed to have been taken aboard a spacecraft in New Hampshire, and their detailed account was one of the earliest that sparked public and scientific debate on alien encounters. I've always heard of the Barney and Betty Hill abduction. That's always kind of been a UFO staple. July 14th, 2020. This was only about 4 years ago. Pentagon UAP report teased. In July of 2020, the Pentagon officially acknowledged the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, videos taken by Navy pilots, stirring fresh interest and giving UFO enthusiasts new hope that governments are finally taking these encounters seriously. So, from mysterious lights over Mount Rainier to government-confirmed videos, the story of UFO sightings is as much about our curiosity as it is about the unknown itself. What do you think is out there? The sky might be full of secrets waiting for us to look up. Okay, now let's dive into some weirder, more out there theories about time travel. The stuff that sounds like it came straight out of a science fiction fever dream. Number one, time crystals, a clock that never stops. Scientists discovered something called time crystals, a new phase of matter that cycles forever, breaking time. Translation symmetry. Some theorists speculate that if you could harness time crystals, you might create a stable time loop, a tiny pocket of perpetual motion in time itself. It's still early research, but the idea hints at weird ways time could tick differently. Number two, retrocausality. Effects before causes. In classical physics, cause always comes before effect, but some quantum experiments suggest retrocausality, where an effect can happen before its cause. If true, this would flip our understanding of time upside down, allowing information or influence to travel backward in time, at least on a quantum level. Imagine answering a question before it's even asked. Number three, the bootstrap paradox. This paradox is a real brain bender. Imagine you travel back in time and give Shakespeare a copy of Hamlet. Shakespeare copies it down and publishes it. So who actually wrote Hamlet? The book seems to exist without a true origin, looping endlessly in time. Some theories suggest such causal loops could exist, but mess with our idea of cause and effect. Number 4, chronesthesia, mental time travel. Not actual physical time travel, but here's a weird twist. Some neuroscientists talk about chronesthesia, our brain's ability to mentally project ourselves into past or future scenarios. So maybe time travel is less about spaceships and wormholes and more about how our minds slip through time's fabric internally. Time travel as a cognitive experience, not a physical one. Number 5, time as a simulation glitch. Here's a wild one for the conspiracy theorists. What if time travel happens because reality is a simulation? Like in video games, glitches or hacks in the program could let someone jump through time. While there's no scientific proof, this idea pops up in philosophy and pop culture a lot, making us question if time itself is code. So the digger you deep, or the deeper you dig, not the digger you deep, but the deeper you dig, the stranger time travel theories get. Some challenge physics, others poke at philosophy, and a few just make your brain hurt. But hey, that's what makes it fun, right? What's your favorite weird theory? Or do you have one of your own? Now, coming up next is the bizarre case of the Hinterkaifeck murders. And this time I'm telling the truth, okay? This time I'm telling the truth. Alright. So, we're going to do this in parts. So, again, like part 1, a farm forgotten until it wasn't. Just beyond the trees of rural Bavaria, nestled 6 kilometers southwest of a village called Grobern, sat an unremarkable homestead called Hinterkaifeck. Unremarkable, that is, until it became unforgettable. It was isolated, tucked between forest and field, the kind of place you could miss unless you were looking for it. The Gruber family had lived there for years. Andreas Gruber, hard, domineering, and by many accounts feared, ran the farm with a tight grip and a sharp tongue. His wife, Kazilia, rarely spoke in public. Their daughter, Victoria Gabriel, was a widow. Her husband, Karl Gabriel, was believed to have died in World War I. She lived on the farm with her 2 children, little Kazilia, 7, and baby Joseph. The farm was their entire world, remote, closed off, and perhaps vulnerable. In late March of 1922, the Grubers began to notice things, ominous things. Their house keys vanished. Thank you for following. That scared me. Thank you. See, I'm telling you a freaky story, and that pops up, and I'm like, whoa, okay. A newspaper that didn't subscribe to showed up in their living room. Strange footprints appeared in the snow, leading from the woods to the house, but none leading away. Doors creaked open. Footsteps echoed from the attic. The previous maid had quit months earlier, claiming the place was haunted. She'd heard voices, felt watched. No one in the family alerted police. No reports were filed. Life continued until it didn't. Part 2, Murder at Hinterkaifeck. It was April 4th when the neighbors acted. The Grubers had been absent from church. Victoria's daughter was missing from school. The mailman hadn't seen them in days. When several townsfolk arrived at the farm, what they found changed everything. Inside the barn, under hay, were 4 mangled corpses. Andreas, his wife, Victoria, and young Cecilia. bludgeoned with brutal force. But Cecilia's death was different. Her hands were twisted, clumps of her own hair clenched in her fists. She had suffered. She had fought to survive, alone and injured, for hours. Inside the house, more horror. The new maid Maria Baumgartner had been murdered in her bed, still in her clothes, and baby Joseph was found in his crib, silenced before his life had truly begun. The weapon, a ruthal, a mattock used for cutting roots, was eventually discovered in the attic, clean and tucked away, as if placed carefully by someone who knew the home intimately. The killer had not just murdered, they had stayed, ate, slept, milked the cows, fed the animals, stoked the fireplace. 6 bodies, 1 farm, no escape trail. Part 3. Suspects, secrets, and scandals. Let's talk about suspects, because there were many. Some believed a vagrant or drifter had passed through. Someone with no connection, no motive, just madness. But nothing of value was stolen, and the killer stayed, calm, deliberate, like a person with purpose. Others looked to the family's past. Victoria and Andreas had both served prison time for incest. Whispers swirled that baby Joseph wasn't her husband's child, but her father's child. Could someone have found out, enacted revenge, or did guilt push a family member into horror? And then there's Lorenz Glittenbauer. I don't know how to say that one. The neighbor, former suitor of Victoria, and perhaps the most enigmatic figure in this tale. He arrived with the search party, but entered the house alone. He moved the bodies, walked confidently through the home, claimed he was checking for survivors, but to many it felt rehearsed. His story changed. He later suggested the killer had hidden in the house for weeks. Was he grieving or hiding something? He even told children in town that he knew who the killer was but wouldn't say. Why? Part 4. Modern Forensics and Ghosts of the Past. In 2007, nearly a century later, a new investigation quietly began. A group of German criminal investigators and forensic students reviewed all surviving evidence. They concluded the killer was likely someone from the local community. They had a primary suspect, but out of respect and because the suspect was long dead, they chose never to name them. The mystery, they decided, would remain unsolved. Today, experts still analyze the case in documentaries, podcasts, and crime forums. Psychologists point to the signs of stalking behavior, the footsteps, missing keys, attic sounds, as classic markers of an escalating predator. Criminologists highlight the intimacy of the crime. The killer knew the victims, maybe even loved them once. But the ultimate truth, it died with them. Number 5, Hinterkaifeck today. The farm is gone, bulldozed long after the murders. Or not long after the murders. A quiet memorial now stands in its place. Just a stone cross and a plaque, hidden behind trees, often surrounded by wildflowers and silence. Locals still leave offerings, candles, photos, prayers. Tourists come, cameras ready, but the space demands quiet. The name Hinterkaifeck has become something more than a place. It's become a symbol of unthinkable violence, of unanswered questions, of the dark possibilities that rural isolation can breed. Even now, researchers debate, was this the work of one man, a jealous lover, a psychopath hiding in the shadows, or something darker? Something the Grubers themselves helped to conceal. Part 6, Epilogue. Footprints in the snow. The horror of Hinterkaifeck wasn't just the killing. It was the lead-up, the tension, The slow unraveling of peace, the quiet dread that no one spoke aloud. A key disappears, a door creaks, a shadow moves upstairs, and no one believes you. What if someone is already inside? What if they're waiting? The farm is silent now, but if you stand there long enough, in the early morning mist, you might still feel something. Maybe it's just wind through the trees. Maybe it's memory. Or maybe it's the sound of a single set of footprints, still walking, still watching. Who knows? History is just fascinating. Now, you've been listening to Talk Radio, and this was the haunting tale of the Hinterkaifeck murders. Thanks for staying with us. Up next, we're heading back to Lakewood, where the ghosts are fewer, but the gossip's just as juicy. Stick around, and hey, maybe tonight, just check your attic, please. Now, a new segment I was going to be starting tonight, trying. Man on the net. Thinks man on the street, but through social media and stuff like that. And I had put down a question of the week on my Facebook page and Talk Radio Facebook page. If you could time travel once, only forward or backward, where would you go? And I got no comments from anybody. So first time of trying this man on the net. Didn't quite work, but I will continue to try every Thursday, doing a man on the net little just kind of fun thing to add on to the show and make it a little more fun. So I will be back momentarily with the closing remarks. Okay, so time is strange. It heals, it haunts, and it humbles. It rushes past us like a train we almost catch, or drags like a memory we can't let go of. Sometimes it folds in on itself, bringing the past eerily close to the present. Other times it stretches out endlessly, as if daring us to make sense of it all. Maybe that's why we're drawn to these stories, from moon landings to mystery lights in the sky, revolutions to radio signals from decades ago. They remind us that we're not just moving through time, we are shaping it, carried by it, connected by it. Wherever you are in your own timeline, whether you're racing toward a dream, rebuilding from something lost, or just enjoying the little moments, we are honored you chose to spend a part of your Thursday here with us, inside the time machine we call Talk Radio. I'm Jonathan Riley, and this has been Time Warp Thursday. We'll be back next week with more forgotten headlines, historical deep dives, and the occasional tinfoil hat moment. But don't set your clocks forward too fast, because tomorrow is finally Friday. And on Friday, the week gets weird, and the weekends get real. Ba-da-da-da-da. Have a good one. Talk to y'all next week. P.S. If you ever do invent time travel, come back. Like and share this video. Subscribe to my channel. Help make this thing go viral. A viral video brought to you from the people of the future. That would be totally radical.